Hello everyone, my name is Yao. I'm the China Research Manager for Compassion and World Farming. It is my honor to be here today to share with you some examples from Compassion's food business program. Without further ado, here's an overview of today's presentation. First, I'd like to give you some background information about our organization and our strategy, how we use the latest scientific evidence to back up our policy and corporate asks. Then I'd like to zoom in a bit and show you what animal welfare research is like in China at the moment, where animal welfare laws are absent, while public and scientific interest for farm animal welfare are growing, and how we've pushed for change through positive engagement and consultancy. Compassion and World Farming was founded in 1967. We're now a fast-growing and influential worldwide movement present at many key decision-making forums, from the United Nations to the World Trade Organization. We have supporters and partners throughout the world to help us deliver initiatives from China to the USA. In terms of impact, we're one of the leanest, most cost-effective global charities. Our goal is to end factory farming. Across the organization, our strategy is to influence those who shape, make, or fund policy direction on food, farming, and animals through direct engagement, research, communications, and building a movement for change, focusing on the most critical stakeholders for driving change, including the UN, governments, companies, and financial institutions. Some of our more famous movements include the Animal Sanctions Act in the 1990s, banning live transport in the UK, and end the cage age in the EU. Our food business program is heavily scientifically based, like the rest of the organization's projects. For over 15 years, we have established a unique program of corporate engagement, working with the world's leading food businesses by driving transformational change for animal welfare, reducing our reliance on animal-sourced foods, moving the food industry towards more regenerative, nature-friendly farming. We work to encourage companies to commit to higher welfare production practices and sourcing policies throughout their supply by various methods, including setting up awards and partnerships, drafting up corporate asks, energizing ethical investment, transforming consumer awareness, while keeping these progress and commitments transparent. Over 2.5 billion animals set to benefit each year from these commitments. Our Good Farm Animal Welfare Awards recognize companies committing to higher welfare production and sourcing within a 5-year time frame by species and product category. On the right side, you see some examples of the companies that we work with and influence through our projects. Increasingly, we recognize businesses that are producing or sourcing from higher welfare systems and in ways that protect, improve, and restore wildlife and the environment through our Sustainable Food and Farming Awards, and companies that are coupling higher animal welfare with a balancing of their protein offer through our Planet Friendly Award. We have also developed essential tools such as the Chicken Track and the Egg Track. Our Good Egg Award criteria is aligned with the cage-free movement for laying hens, requiring a commitment to adopt a cage-free sourcing policy within 5 years, which prohibits the use of combination and limited access systems. Our Good Chicken Award is aligned to the requirement of the European Chicken Commitment, or the ECC, and with the Better Chicken Commitment in the US. Companies must demonstrate significant progress in their transition toward the ECC and report publicly on their transition timelines and progress. Now we zoom in a bit regionally and look at China as a unique example. In China, unlike the EU, currently there is no official animal welfare law, but we have worked systematically with producers, retailers, and collaborated with local groups and academic institutions to maximize impact. The Food Business Production Awards focus on pigs, laying hens, and meat chickens. The Good Pig Production Awards were launched in 2014 within the aim of showing Chinese producers how they can operate a higher welfare pig production system as a successful business, featuring key elements such as free farrowing, enrichment provisions, and the avoidance of mutilations such as tail docking or castration. To date, over 2.8 million pigs are now set to benefit each year from all of the Good Pig Production Award winners' commitments and practices. In 2017, the China Awards were extended to include the Good Egg Production Awards and Good Chicken Production Awards. Over 364 million birds are now set to benefit each year from their higher welfare policies and practices. Since 2023, new criteria are being developed to better emphasize current global developments such as cage-free movement, slower growing or higher welfare breed broilers, and free farrowing systems for sows. Although there are no law at the moment, there are national level regulations or standards which explicitly have animal welfare in their titles. There are currently 5 of them. You can see that following the impact of COVID was when things were really starting to pick up. Especially in 2023, there were welfare and killing animals for disease control purposes and the welfare criteria for animals to be slaughtered, which are all very relevant to farm animal species. Before we talk about how our own research as an NGO can make an impact in a certain country or region, we need to know what the bigger picture is like for animal welfare science. Here is an analysis of animal welfare research projects registered in the China National Knowledge Infrastructure Database in the period from 1996 to 2019. The data show that in addition to animal ethology as an essential component of animal welfare research, agriculture and animal science, veterinary science, and economic policy studies play an important role in Chinese animal welfare research. The data also shows an increase in the number of published research projects on animal health and welfare in China since 2000. It was concluded that the increased attention to animal welfare science, 1, had a particular focus on farm and laboratory animals, 2, reflected recent developments in China in terms of public concern about animal use, academic debate about the importance of animal welfare, and animal-related political and economic developments linked to China's ambitions to be a global player in science and food production. This is good news to us who want to push for change in the industry. Please allow me to take a comparative approach to the progress of China animal welfare and how we're working with these changes as an NGO. Among the various welfare issues with piglet welfare, let's use surgical castration, a common and painful practice on commercial farms, as an example. So piglet castration is considered a form of mutilation. The common practice of performing castration without pain relief is based on the incorrect assumption that neonates have a lower sensitivity to pain. This incorrect assumption is even evidenced in EU legislation, which does not require pain relief for piglets castrated under 7 days of age, while experimental evidence shows no difference in piglet pain perception and cortisol responses before and after 7 days of age. At Compassion, we ask surgical castration without any pain relief to be urgently banned. Now, what does the Chinese government say about castration? This is taken from the website of the Information Center of Ministry of Agriculture, which is the authority in farming of the country. It says castration should be carried out at 7 to 10 days of age instead of 15, when stress response is relatively low, blood loss is less, and piglets less likely to be infected with disease. If castration is conducted too late, there will be more bleeding and the wound will be harder to heal. Also, piglets will show obvious pain symptoms, severe stress response, affecting normal feeding and growth of piglets. Although animal welfare was not explicitly mentioned in the later document, the recommendations did not necessarily contradict each other on every level, because reducing animal stress is in fact an important aspect in animal welfare. To put it in a simple way, the EU sees it from how the animals feel, while China sees it from animal health. Now that's the overlap, the good overlap, something we can work with. In practice, by conducting over a decade of farm visits and on-farm assessments through our Good Pig Production Awards, we have noticed the farms that are willing to make changes have gotten really creative. For example, in our Good Pig Production Awards criteria, enrichment provision is an important aspect. We ask for enrichment and bedding to be provided for pigs throughout their lives. This is a map of China and pictures obtained from our winter farms in different provinces. Across China's vast and drastically different geographical climate, we've noticed various materials being used as bedding. For example, fermented bedding is very popular because it not only works as bedding to reduce pain in the pig's feet, pigs do eat it, and it is great as fiber in their diet. Deep bedding can be used by the farrowing south in pen. Farms also provide green leaves. One farm even provided wooden balls that are movable, manipulable, and potentially editable for the pigs on top of the fermented bedding. So despite the challenges of ASF, there are very good alternatives for enrichment using locally accessible material. So what about China's own farmed animal species? According to the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs database, there are in total 848 breeds or strains from 17 species of traditional livestock and poultry, in total of 49 breeds or strains from 16 species of special livestock and poultry. Just to give you an example of how curious these guys would look, on the left, you have a very fluffy Beijing Yu chicken, which is dual-purpose breed for meat and eggs, and you have silky feather chicken, which is very lightweight and beautiful. On the bottom, you have a traditional breed pig with a very poetic name, and on the right, we have the more petite black Tibetan pig. The purpose of this slide is to show that in addition to species-specific behaviors, we as researchers also need to study within each species the overlooked regional or traditional breeds that have their own characteristics. Many, as we will discuss later, require a certain level of welfare to thrive. And this is very important and hopeful for our work in China because these species are the exact examples that we're looking for to present the possibilities of potential for higher welfare breeds and systems. To further investigate these interesting encounters, let's use broilers this time as an example. Fast growth is often singled out as the most important severe broiler welfare issues. Welfare issues specific to fast growth rates also include higher mortality rate, increased risk of lameness, contact dermatitis, heart disease, and lethargy, etc. According to China's official statistics, the total number of commercial fast-growing broilers slaughtered in 2021 reached over 6.5 billion, which is approximately 52% of total chicken meat output, and approximately 10% of the total national meat output. Now let's take a comparative approach again. On one hand, China's national breed list of livestock and poultry genetic resources listed 114 traditional or regional poultry breeds. Many of them are dual-purpose breeds given the country's market demand and consumer habit. Across the ocean, the European Chicken Commitment says slower-growing breeds or strains used in extensive free-range systems with an average daily gain of a maximum of 40 grams a day are automatically approved under the ECC without the need for further testing. Now, these pictures of the silky feather chickens were taken by our real winner farms from our Good Chicken Production Awards. If you look at the breed profile we've put together, it says they're dual purpose for meat and eggs and also for medicinal use. Multi-purpose to put it exactly. The body weight is 1.1 kilograms for males and 0.9 kilograms for females. They grow around 6 to 7.3 grams daily according to the two producers we've met. Now, this is well below the ECC ask of 40 grams. Now, things are really looking promising. We take a step forward. What is the nation's recommendation for the husbandry system? Barn with outdoor access. Or free-range system. And in reality, these guys do live in barn systems with outdoor access, or even better, in true free-range systems. We can safely conclude that this silky feathered black-bone chicken breed is a higher welfare breed compared to the white-feathered commercial fast-growing breed suffering so much from pain from growing too heavy too fast. The overriding problem to all in China and in many parts of the world is the complication of diseases. For example, regulations against ASF is critical. Some of the better welfare equipment, such as straw, bedding, more space, would imply more risk for ASF that farmers cannot afford. Similar challenges is also seen among other species. Perhaps these challenges will be tackled by future research, how higher animal welfare can be implemented under these special circumstances. It is difficult to summarize such a big topic in 12 minutes. There's still so much to learn and so much potential in the food business sector, and research is the most powerful tool. Thank you so much.